This is Sunrise Extra, streaming live on Wave Now.
Good morning. Some kids still learning from home right now, but the JCPS students heading back to school on a regular schedule.
I know that's a big relief to those parents, Tawana.
Oh, yeah, and we're going to be keeping an eye on the cold weather for today, yes, but also watching that wintry mix showing up for the afternoon. So, yeah, for those of you heading out and about later on today, that is going to be the big weather story once that snow starts to fall. Winter weather advisory ready in place for those of you along and north of I-64. This is where we have the best chance for accumulations later on today. Looking at our SkyTrack camera over Spaghetti Junction, not much going on weather-wise. And as we look at our satellite and radar, we are dealing with a lot of clouds overhead, some snow trying to fall in parts of our region, but a lot of that's only reaching the ground as flurries as of right now. Your temperatures are in the 20s and low 30s, so we are seeing a lot of us hovering right near or below the freezing mark. We do still look to climb into the mid 30s for a lot of us, some upper 30s for those of you further to the south as that rain and snow really take over towards lunch. We'll keep an eye on that through the afternoon into the evening. So it's that evening commute that could be more impacted by that rain and snow, especially for those of you along and north of I-64. So that's why we're watching things so closely. And while today is a little bit more active, we do keep some flurries around tomorrow and even into portions of your Thursday. So we're not entirely done with the wintry weather, even once we get past today's system. Rob?
Tawana, thanks so much and good morning at 7:01. Things may be changing for your commute this afternoon into tonight, but right now things looking nice, clear out there, and just a good day to get out and take care of any errands you may have this morning, or if you have that early morning commute, no major problems. This is Kentucky 22 at 265. There are a lot more traffic than what we saw about 20 minutes ago when we first checked in, but no tie-ups, no accidents in that area. That's certainly a good way to start your Tuesday morning. Taking a look at 65 right now, inbound at 10 minutes or under, and certainly no problems to the right there, a sea of green on 65. If we do see any tie-ups or anything that may slow you down, we'll let you know. Keep an eye out for those snow plows and the trucks that may be doing some pre-treating this morning through this afternoon before we see the precipitation. Back over to you, Shannon.
Thank you. And today, JCPS returns to a normal in-person class schedule. This is the district's first full day back at school in person after January's winter storm. School started on a delayed opening yesterday, 2-hour delay. Some parents said those side roads are still rather difficult for buses. Parents and students will have to navigate some of the snow-covered streets. JCPS is encouraging everyone to use caution and their best judgment going to and from school. At last count, 17 other districts like Hardin County schools are either closed or on virtual learning. You can find the full list on wave3.com.
Governor Andy Beshear's office says a 16th victim has died following the winter storm. Governor Beshear confirmed a 75-year-old woman from Adair County died. Her name and cause of death have not been released. For the other victims, the coroner in Hart County identified one person as 64-year-old Ricky Turner. The governor announced other storm deaths in Ballard and Davis counties. He says the state will help cover victims' funeral costs.
Today, lawmakers in the U.S. House are expected to vote on a funding bill that could end the partial government shutdown. Today marks day 4 of the shutdown. The bill funds most government agencies through much of the year, except the Department of Homeland Security, which will only be funded for 2 weeks. Democratic lawmakers say they want to see more restrictions and transparency on immigration operations. House Speaker Mike Johnson will need near unanimous support from his Republican conference to pass this bill. The Senate already approved it, and President Trump says he will sign it when it reaches his desk.
Today, attorneys for a man accused of killing 2 men in Elizabethtown, then setting a house on fire, will try to convince a judge the death penalty should be taken off the table. Dustin Cottle is charged with murder, arson and tampering with evidence. Caudill is accused of killing Blake France and Anthony Garrett, then setting a home on fire on Heenan Lane in October 2024. Police say Caudill admitted to the killings and stole the men's wallets before starting the fire. Caudill's attorneys have filed a motion to exclude the death penalty because they say he's been diagnosed with a severe mental illness. A hearing on that is set for 10 o'clock this morning.
LMPD says it has found everyone connected to a deadly shooting in the Shawnee neighborhood. Police say a man was shot and killed inside a house on Lewis Coleman Jr. Drive about 9:30 last night. The victim's name has not been released. LMPD says everyone connected to the case has been accounted for, but so far, no one has been charged. And we're working to learn if anyone will be charged after a stabbing in the Newburgh neighborhood. It happened on Noreen Lane Monday morning, a few blocks away from Poplar Level Road. LMPD says when they got there, they found a man stabbed multiple times. He was taken to U of L Hospital and is expected to survive. Police say all parties have been accounted for, but they haven't announced any arrests. The Jefferson County Clerk's Office is issuing a warning after discovering a scheme to sell fake temporary car tags, and police say that these fake tags can be used in other crimes.
Officials are now warning people to avoid this online scam. Rob Wells is here with details. Rob?
Hi, Olivia. Jefferson County officials put fake vehicle tags on display Monday after they say arresting two people who were selling fake tags over the weekend. Two notaries, 30-year-old Joanne Smith and 33-year-old D'Angelo Thomas, are facing charges of complicity to stealing, producing, copying, or illegally acquiring temporary tags. Officials say they found them with several dozen fake tags and a notarized title for $300, which they'd sold to an undercover informant. Investigators say that the pair were advertising the tags on Facebook at $25, $35, and $50 each. Fraudulent tags are a felony even for those who don't know that they're driving with them.
This is what a proper temporary tag should look like. Unfortunately, you're seeing people print tags not related to our office, not related to a dealership, similar to that of counterfeit money.
He says that people can only get tags through licensed auto dealerships or the clerk's office. Thomas and Smith, meanwhile, are scheduled in court for arraignment tomorrow. Olivia, back to you.
Thank you, Rob. State Representative Daniel Grossberg, a Democrat from Louisville, has settled a complaint with the Kentucky Legislative Ethics Commission. In 2024, Grossberg was accused of sending inappropriate texts to staffers and legislators. Workers at Foxy's Gentlemen's Club in Louisville claim Grossberg was rude and inappropriately touched workers. During a committee hearing on Monday, Grossberg and his attorney agreed to a resolution called Probably Cause of Greed Order and Public Reprimand. This means Grossberg avoids a lengthy public hearing, negotiates fines, and prevents other witnesses from testifying.
I hope that for future parties before this commission, that there can be a more expedited process, because this has been the longest 18 months of my life, Mr. Chairman.
In a statement, Kentucky's Democratic Party called on Grossberg to resign. They're also asking the General Assembly to pass Senate Bill 143, which would add sexual harassment to the Ethics Code.
Community leaders are coming together to find ways to make owning a home a reality for more people in Louisville.
It's part of a new coalition called Roof Over Our Head. Wave News reporter Kirsten Foote shares why advocates feel this work is so important. Kirsten?
Yeah, good morning. Roof Over Our Head is a new Louisville-based coalition focused on changing how the city understands and talks about housing. They're aiming to create a unified understanding of Louisville's housing needs. The group will also be hosting community listening sessions to gather people's experience when it comes to navigating the current housing or rental market. Advocates say this will help mobilize grassroots support. The chief policy officer with Metro United Way says this work is needed now more than ever.
Housing affordability is one of the core issues for the constituents and the community that we serve, and for that many of our partners work with. If you don't have stable housing, it's really hard for any of those other basic needs to meet those basic needs as well.
The organization also wants to team up with other groups and nonprofits working in the housing sector. And they say they're also planning to pair community voices with some of Mayor Craig Greenberg's housing affordability ideas. Kirsten Foote, Wave News.
Thank you, Kirsten. And still to come, former President Bill Clinton and his wife, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, will now testify before Congress about the Epstein files.
What we know about the hearing and what forced the couple to appear, that's coming up. The Coast Guard is putting out a warning to boat captains to be extremely careful while out on the Ohio River.
Yeah, that's because of all the ice there. It's creating some dangerous conditions for commercial and recreational vessels. The Coast Guard says that there have been cases of commercial vessels being damaged and taking on water after hitting the ice. At the McAlpin Locks and Dam, engineers have been working to make sure that the locks stay clear of ice. Barges have been pushing up to 400 feet of ice in front of it. People who work on the river say this is the most ice they have seen on the Ohio in over a decade, and the flow of the water makes the thickness and stability of it unpredictable. So, of course, the Coast Guard also telling people to stay off the ice. You know, this has been a long stretch of very cold weather.
And I think that just proves it right there. I mean, we don't see the Ohio River freeze up very often.
And keep in mind, we had 10 days with below freezing temperatures. So seeing something like that, not something you typically see, but with temperatures that cold, it is to be expected. Now, we do have a winter weather advisory in place for this afternoon through tomorrow morning for those of you along and north of I-64. It does include the Louisville Metro, but we're looking further to the south on our SkyTrack camera in Bardstown, where that snow is still on the ground. And for some of you, you will add in more of that snowfall for later on today. Right now, mainly just dealing with the clouds overhead, and that is it. But we're still monitoring that low off towards our southwest, because as it gets closer to us, it's going to bring some more of that Gulf moisture into the area, helping to increase our potential for rain and snow as we head into the afternoon. Your temperatures right now in the 20s and the low 30s will climb further into those low to mid 30s for afternoon highs. For those of you further to the south, some upper 30s are possible, and that is why you're mainly looking at rainfall in your forecast. As we get closer to 8, 9 o'clock, we'll keep an eye on that band of snow trying to build in our northernmost counties. So we'll watch for that, and more of that snow will actually start to reach the ground. Then we get towards lunch today, we'll add in even more of that snow for those of you along and north of I-64. Eventually, things start to push further to the south, pushing more terrain for those of you south of the parkways as that low makes its way further towards wave country. Then we head into later on this evening. This is when things start to wrap up across the region, but we could still deal with some flurries and even in some cases some drizzle, some freezing drizzle in our forecast, and that could cause some road issues heading into tomorrow morning as temperatures drop. So overall, still looking at around 1 to 2 inches of snowfall for those of you north of I-64. Right along 64 and south towards the parkways, this is where we're looking at around a coating to less of an inch of snowfall, just because you'll have those borderline above freezing temperatures, and the fact that you get some sleet and that rain mixing with the snow, that will cut off the totals in those spots. And then further to the south of the parkways, you're really just looking at a dusting. But we could even see a little bit of a glaze of some ice on top of all of this too. So we have to keep an eye on all of that as the day goes along. Then we head into tomorrow. This is when we start to notice some more of the colder air racing in, waking up to those teens and low 20s for your Wednesday morning. So that means anything that's left over from today's wintry weather could become a little bit slick, especially on untreated roads, bridges, overpasses. So we'll have to keep an eye on what's left over for your Wednesday morning commute. Thursday is quiet. Friday is when we have that wintry mix trying to come back our way. The weekend still looking pretty quiet overall. And then we head into next week. Next week will feel more like a heat wave as we see temperatures try to climb into the 40s and 50s. But of course, with the warmer weather, we'll be looking at several rounds of rain trying to come into our forecast. So we can't even get the warmer weather without a caveat, Shannon.
Thanks. In Indiana, a bill's been submitted this legislative session, hoping to make people's utilities more affordable. On Monday, the State House of Representatives passed Bill 1002, focusing on electric utility affordability. The bill would force utility companies to make and offer a level billing plan for its customers, and they would be able to opt out of payment plans without being penalized and require electric utility companies to not terminate customers' service in extreme heat. Some renters and homeowners, though, say more protections are needed.
After actually reviewing and reading the bill, it just really feels like they just added insult to injury at this point. Basically, all they did was just opt everybody in automatically to go on a budget plan. And we already have that option. So it's even like they're just taking that autonomy away for you to make that decision for yourself as well. So at this point, it really feels like Hoosiers have no one representing them.
The bill is moving on to the Senate for consideration. In Kentucky, state representatives have filed a similar bill. It's known as the Eastern Kentucky Energy Savings Act.
The measure focuses on lowering costs for consumers while also strengthening the reliability of the power grid by increasing in-state energy generation. Under the proposal, power companies could apply to the Public Service Commission for approval of securitization. The process helps power companies spread the massive cost of retiring generating facilities like coal-fired plants. This would allow the company to spread costs out over time instead of at once, essentially hitting customers with big immediate rate increases. The bill would require a 2-year freeze on rate increases for any power company that applies for securitization. In addition, the power company would be required to give up a portion of its allowed return, resulting in millions in annual savings passed directly on to customers. Former President Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton have agreed to testify in a House investigation into Jeffrey Epstein. It comes after a request from the House Oversight Committee Chair and Kentucky Representative James Comer. The Oversight Committee previously voted to advance contempt resolutions for the Clintons to the House floor. Files released about Epstein included numerous pictures of former President Clinton, whose spokesperson said had flown on Epstein's plane before Epstein was charged with any sex crimes. Clinton has denied any wrongdoing. It was not released when and where the Clintons will testify.
The search continues this morning for the mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie. Arizona investigators believe she was taken from her home against her will. The Pima County Sheriff's Office said that 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie was last seen in the Catalina Foothills area Saturday night where she lives. The sheriff says based on evidence in her house, investigators believe she was taken against her will. They found her cell phone and her wallet in the house still. Authorities are not aware of any threats against the Today Show host. Law enforcement officials are reviewing video from cameras at Nancy Guthrie's home.
But we do know that she was brought home by her family after dinner out with them at around 9:30, 9:45 Saturday night. They got her inside. She went to bed. The only thing we know after that is at 11 o'clock in the morning, Sunday morning, the family got a call from members of her church saying she wasn't there.
The sheriff says they are racing against the clock, too, because Nancy Guthrie needs to take daily medication to survive. Savannah Guthrie released a statement thanking law enforcement, saying she appreciates the messages of support. Investigators have not released any information about why she may have been targeted. Savannah Guthrie right now is in Arizona. Nearly a decade after Kentucky became a right-to-work state, a lawmaker is proposing a bill to reverse it. Senator Gary Clemens says his bill will give power back to unions that have lost negotiating power because workers are not required to pay union fees and join the union while working a job. Senator Clemens argues union fees are minimal and actually help workers gain better benefits from the employer. Clemens says he also wants to help people who rely on multiple jobs and government assistance to make ends meet.
These companies are profiting $2 billion a year, but yet they want you to live in poverty. Something's wrong. So we have to get the balance and try to maintain affordability where people do not get on SNAP benefits, where people do not have to stand in line for food assistance. It's not a system. It's a broken system, and you should not have to work 2, 3 full-time jobs or 3 or 4 part-time jobs to make ends meet.
Senator Clemens has not yet officially introduced his bill. It's 7:20 and still ahead, caviar and McDonald's. Huh? Yeah. We'll tell you what the fast food chain is planning for Valentine's Day.
And we'll tell you how to get your hands on this combo coming up.
Less than 100 days away from the 152nd running of the Kentucky Derby, and soon you'll be able to get tickets for a lot of the events leading up to the big race.
Tickets will go on sale Thursday at noon for Kentucky Derby week. That includes tickets for 5-0 Tuesday, Wednesday, and Derby. You can also grab tickets for opening night at Churchill Downs on April 25th. Kentucky Oaks and Derby tickets are already on sale. You can buy your tickets on KentuckyDerby.com. And remember, Wave is your official Derby station. But that also means we're less than 75 days away until Thunder over Louisville. Tickets are on sale now for the Derby Festival's Thunder VIP rooftop party. That's happening at the Brook Street Garage rooftop in downtown Louisville. There will be a buffet dinner, bar, snacks, and other amenities to enjoy the yearly fireworks show. Admission tickets start at $225 per person. Thunder is set for Saturday, April 18th. And it's getting more expensive to register for the Derby Festival mini and full marathons. Today, prices jumped $15. That'll make it $110 and $120. Details, including where you can get your free marathon training, is available at derbyfestivalmarathon.com.
A Louisville Brewing Company is opening a New York-style pizzeria in New Lou. Gravely Brewing is opening Greenside at 905 East Main Street. Here's a picture of the inside. It's part of a multi-million-dollar redevelopment project. Gravely recently moved their tap house to that development in December. And a press release says that they'll also have beer specifically brewed to complement the pizza. It'll open in New Lou February 12th. And the Frankfort Avenue Trolley Hop will be back in the spring. It's been a tradition on Frankfort Avenue. It is held the last Friday of each month, and the first one will be Friday, April 24th. This year's Fat Friday Hops will continue to highlight the Frankfort Avenue corridor running from Melwood Avenue to Kennedy Avenue, rather. 2 trolleys will operate on a continuous loop, so you can jump on and off from 4 until 9 p.m.
McDonald's has a unique combination for Valentine's Day: chicken nuggets and caviar. While supplies last, McDonald's is offering a McNugget caviar kit available exclusively online this month. The McNugget and caviar combo is inspired by the viral dish served at the U.S. Open in August of 2025. People just need to sign up for a kit when they drop online, and Shannon's already looking it up.
Yeah, so it drops. This is a big deal. It drops February 10th at 11 a.m. and the kits are free. Plus, you get a $25 gift card for chicken nuggets.
Sounds like a great deal.
So, yeah, set your alarm. We'll be right back.
This Wave News Update is sponsored by Oxmoor Auto Group.
Good morning. I'm Shannon Kogan. Today, JCPS returns to a normal in-person class schedule. This will be the district's first full day back at school in person following January's winter storm. Schools started on a 2-hour delay yesterday. Some parents said some of the side roads, though, are still rather difficult for buses. Parents and students still have to navigate some of those snow-covered roads. JCPS is encouraging everyone just to be careful. Also, at last count, 17 other districts, like Hardin County Schools, are either closed or on virtual learning. Go to wave3.com to see the full list. And here is Tawana as we have an alert day kicking in later today.
Yeah, we are watching, of course, areas along and north of I-64 for more of those impacts from the snow moving in for this afternoon. And this is also where we have the winter weather advisory in place from this afternoon through tomorrow morning. Looking into Bardstown, though, just cloudy and cold to start off the day. Not seeing much in the radar in our area as of right now. Your temperatures are in the 20s and low 30s. We do look to try to climb into the low to mid 30s for afternoon temperatures as we see that snow and rain moving into our region. Eventually, this will push out once we get into the evening hours. So really afternoon, we see our snow totals, our snow chances going up, and then we'll watch for things fading through the evening hours. Still looking at that better chance for 1 to 2 inches of snowfall for those of you north of I-64. Rob.
Tawana, thanks so much. And at 7:28, things may be getting dicey later this afternoon for your commute home from work and school. But right now, not too bad. This is a live look, 71 at Blankenbaker Lane. No accidents to report up there. Light traffic pretty much for this time of morning, and we're seeing that across the metro. You are seeing some yellow across the metro, and that's showing some areas of intermittent slowdowns. So certainly watch out, especially if you see any of those trucks out there pre-trading the roadways. Make it a great morning.
Good morning and happy Tuesday to you. Hope your Monday was great and your week is off to a good start. And as you step outside this morning, you're probably like, oh, wow, feels pretty good out there. Because it's 30 degrees. That tells you how cold it has been lately. And we are tracking an alert day later today, and our storm tracking team will stay on top of that throughout the day. But first, we want to start with this story where 6 months ago, a father and husband was killed in a Kentucky prison before getting a chance to be outside bars. Now his family wants to ensure others don't suffer the same tragedy and the confusion of waiting for answers. Wave News reporter Julia Richardson shares more about the change they want to enshrine through a bill they're calling Tony's Law.
For Ashley Elgin and Brianna Brown, Tony Broyles' wife and niece, August 20th of 2025 was a good day. It's when they found out Tony would be coming home from the Eastern Kentucky Correctional Complex the next month.
Me and the kids, we made little homecoming banners and things like that. We went and bought balloons.
But 11 days later, on August 31st, Elgin and Brown went from planning a homecoming to planning a funeral. That's when they got the call that Tony had died in the facility.
I wanted to know why, how, who, how did this happen? Why did it happen?
My uncle is strong, man. He's one of the strongest men I've ever met. And just like for this to happen, it made no sense to me.
Elgin said she submitted several records requests and was able to find out that investigators believed Tony's cellmate, DeLeon Rice, had killed him. But nearly 6 months later, Elgin says there's a lot of information that she was denied, including Tony's medical records and a video of the incident.
It should not be that hard for a grieving family to get just the basic facts about their loved one's death. It should not be that hard.
In addition to how Tony died, the family also has questions about why he was placed in a cell with Rice in the first place. Tony was in jail for theft-related charges, while his cellmate was charged with attempted murder. A spokesperson for the Kentucky Department of Corrections sent me a statement saying, quote, "Housing and custody decisions are made using a risk-based classification system that evaluates factors such as offense history, behavior, and institutional risk." Tony's family is also concerned about the safety of inmates at EKCC, claiming there have been multiple other inmate deaths in the facility over the past 6 months. The Department of Corrections tells me the safety and security of staff and inmates is a priority, and quote, "In the incidents reviewed at Eastern Kentucky Correctional Complex, staff were found to have followed established policies and post orders, and no actions or omissions by staff were determined to have contributed to the homicides."
Me as a grieving wife, that's not factual to me. There's something that had to have happened that they did not do, that they could have done different to keep my husband from dying.
While Elgin has been pressing for more information, she's been doing her own research and has put together the draft of what she's calling Tony's Law.
The 5 pillars at a glance.
The law has 5 parts, including making sure inmates within 90 days of release are not housed with high-risk aggressors and requiring certain information be made available to families 48 hours after an inmate's death. As Tony's family grieves, they also continue to remember him for being an encouraging and supportive uncle and a loving and caring husband and dad.
He would give you the shirt off his back if you needed it. He was the most selfless person I've ever met. He really was. He always told me I could do anything I wanted.
He was really one of a kind, and his heart was the biggest thing anybody could ever get the chance to meet.
And if you want to read more about Tony's Law, you can go to this story on our website, wave3.com. An Indiana representative announced he will not run for re-election, but instead he's running for mayor. Republican Representative Ed Clear has decided to leave the Indiana General Assembly after 18 years. Clear cited the conflict over the failed congressional redistricting demanded by President Trump among his reasons for not seeking re-election to the House seat this year. He was one of 12 Republicans who voted no. He further plans to run as an independent candidate for New Albany mayor in 2027. He's run for mayor once before, losing out to Democratic Mayor Jeff Gahan, who was re-elected to a 4th term in 2023. Clear said he intended to remain part of the House Republican caucus and serve out the remainder of his legislative term, which ends in November. Indiana State Police are urging drivers to pay attention to their surroundings and respect the road. There have been a series of crashes involving police or first responders. Indiana has a move over law, meaning if you see any lights on the side of the road, police, tow truck, or even just flashing hazard lights, you are required to move over into a different lane. If you can't do so, you need to slow down to a safe and reasonable speed.
More importantly is the speed in these weather conditions. They're not giving themselves the opportunity to make that lane change or hit the brakes, because when they try to make a sudden lane change, they end up going out of control and hitting vehicles. Just slow down. Everybody thinks they can drive the normal speed limit. Well, those are set for clear, sunny, dry days. A little bit of weather comes in, and yes, you can drive at the speed limit, but can you stop? Can you make sudden lane changes? Can you move in a safe manner?
Beyond just the safety risk, every time a trooper's vehicle gets hit, it costs taxpayer dollars to get them repaired. A fundraiser in our area that's been postponed due to the winter storm will now take place today. H.M. Frank's and O'Shea's Pub is hosting the fundraiser in support of the Cluckers Jeffersonville restaurant team who were impacted by the fire to their business. 50% of all sales today at the restaurant will be donated, and that money will be distributed to the Cluckers team. The fundraiser will run from 11 o'clock until 10 o'clock tonight. Well, this Super Bowl weekend, as you grocery shop for the big game, you can also share helping out those in midst of domestic violence. The Shop and Share program aids domestic violence shelters, filling up their cabinets with the necessary items victims may need in moments' notice. Darnell Crenshaw has more on how you can help.
Shopping at places like Kroger can also help domestic violence victims through the Shop and Share program. It's an initiative of First Lady Brittany Bashir.
Sadly, in Kentucky, more than 45% of women and 35% of men experience some form of domestic violence in their lifetime. These are not just numbers, they are our neighbors.
Help is on the way for those in the midst of domestic violence. On Saturday, Kroger stores across the Commonwealth and other grocery stores will have a list at their front door, and shoppers can buy items that will help domestic violence shelters.
In 2025, Kentucky's domestic violence shelters housed more than 2,300 people. That is just a drop in the bucket for the number of people we know.
Carts filled like these can help shelters get by the first 3 to 6 months of the year.
Because we know that more often than not, families fleeing for their lives don't have much more than the clothes on their backs.
Zero V, Kentucky United Against Violence, is in partnership with the program.
Many survivors in our services have had to make the courageous decision to start anew, in many cases leaving behind jobs, schools, communities, and homes.
A simple run to the grocery store can go a long way for someone else.
To the survivors who are out there who might be listening, there is help. You are brave. Your courage will get you and your family to better days. We are here to support you.
And you can shop and share this Saturday from 9 to 5. We're going to be right back. And when we come back, we're going to take a look at flu cases in our area. You've probably noticed that a lot of your friends are sick. Flu cases, unfortunately, on the rise. We'll be right back. Some detainees at a Texas immigration facility remain quarantined after 2 people tested positive for measles. 2 patients at Dilley Immigration Processing Center were quarantined alongside others potentially exposed. A DHS spokesperson says medical staff members were monitoring conditions and would take appropriate and active steps to prevent further infection. CDC data shows nearly 600 cases of measles have been confirmed in the U.S. this year. New data from the CDC also shows flu cases are rising in the U.S. Epidemiologists say the trend is hitting youngsters especially hard. The pattern mimics last year when flu cases surged in late February after initially dropping. Experts say if you've had the flu this year, it's possible to get it again if you contract another strain. The CDC reveals 29 states with high flu activity. That includes Indiana. Kentucky, though, is reporting a moderate amount of cases. There's been more than 50 deaths so far this flu season.
But it's not hard.
A new study reveals that men's heart disease risk begins to climb years earlier than women. Researchers found that while men and women have similar risks through their 20s, a gender gap emerges at age 35. By age 50, 5% of men had developed cardiovascular disease, reaching that mark nearly 7 years earlier than women. Experts advise both men and women to monitor their heart health. It's also recommended to see a doctor regularly for blood pressure and cholesterol checks. A potential hidden danger behind a popular home product. Man-made engineered stone countertops are everywhere in homes across America, but many of the workers who cut and grind these quartz slabs are getting sick with an incurable lung disease. Now the question is, should the product be banned? Here's our senior national investigative correspondent, Anna Warner.
They're countertops installed in kitchens and bathrooms across the country, made from what's called engineered stone, created from crushed quartz. Workers in small local shops nationwide cut those stone slabs, but now many are becoming critically ill, like 31-year-old Tyler Jordan.
Trying to take a deep breath. There's just a point where there's no more.
Tyler worked in his parents' stone fabrication shop with his dad, Jimmy. That is, until he got silicosis, a deadly illness caused by breathing in silica dust. Silica is present in natural stones like marble and granite, but studies show the amount of silica in man-made engineered stone is often far higher, as high as 90%, much of it in tiny, nano-sized particles that can lodge deep in the lungs. More than 480 workers have been diagnosed with silicosis in California alone since 2019, with 27 deaths. Dr. Jane Fazio of the UCLA School of Medicine showed us how the lungs of a person with silicosis harden, then shrink.
They really do become hard. They become essentially stone.
There is no cure. The only treatment, she says, is often a risky double lung transplant. Her solution? Ban engineered stone.
Change the product. Ban the high silica material.
But up in Minnesota, the country's largest engineered stone slab manufacturer, Cambria, says she's wrong.
The ban will not solve the problem. It's not a product issue, it's a process issue.
Cambria's former president, now executive vice president Micah Aberson, says Cambria has been making its products safely for 25 years.
And in those 25 years, we haven't had a single reported case of silicosis.
He says the responsibility for sick workers lies with other fabrication shops around the country that don't follow safety regulations and need tighter government enforcement.
If they can't do it safely, then they need to be shut down.
But Australia says regulations aren't the answer. In 2024, it banned the use of engineered stone entirely. And hundreds of doctors are now urging California to do the same, citing an escalating health emergency. As to Tyler Jordan, by 2024, he needed a new kidney.
And who was the donor?
My father.
He saved you.
Yes.
Tyler is now suing Cambria and other stone and tool manufacturers. In court filings, Cambria acknowledged Tyler's silicosis but denied responsibility, saying it had provided adequate warnings about its products. Cambria instead blamed Tyler's parents, saying they failed to provide a safe workplace for their son. Jimmy and Tina Jordan.
That's not true. They don't want the blame, so they're going to put blame on us, that we had a bad shop, that we had a dusty shop, that we were putting our employees in bad positions, but that's not true.
Yet a bill being pushed through Congress would stop all worker lawsuits against manufacturers and sellers of stone products, including Tyler's lawsuit.
Did Cambria help to write the bill?
there's a broad-based coalition that's pursuing this legislation in Washington.
And Cambria is part of that coalition.
That's correct.
I think it's a little bit ridiculous when a product is this dangerous to not have any repercussions about, putting it out and getting people sick or essentially killing them.
California's Occupational Safety Board is considering a petition to ban those countertops there. The association that represents fabricators has said it does not support a blanket ban, though. Some manufacturers are currently making lower silica products, which is another alternative. Well, basketball returns to the Commonwealth tomorrow. We're going to talk about U of L and UK's upcoming games in just 2 minutes. Oh, what a game for a UK men's basketball team on Saturday, beating former head coach John Calipari and the Arkansas Razorbacks. And tomorrow, they'll be back in action in Lexington, taking on Oklahoma. The Cats come into this one riding an up and down season. A lot of mixed emotions there for Big Blue Nation. That was highlighted from the performances just last week. On Tuesday, UK lost to Vanderbilt by 25 points. But then they flipped the script, went into Fayetteville on Saturday as 7-point underdogs, and they won by 8. The Sooners come into this one on an 8-game losing streak, and they sit in last place in the SEC with just a 1-8 record. Tip-off tomorrow from Rupp Arena is set for 9 p.m. You can watch that game on ESPN2. The U of L men's basketball team will also be back in action. They'll be in Louisville at the KFC Yum Center. U of L will welcome a struggling Notre Dame team that's sitting in a tie for last place in the ACC with a 2-7 conference record and 11-11 overall record. After the Cards lost to 4th-ranked Duke last week, they defeated SMU at home on Saturday. Michael Brown Jr., the star freshman for the Cards, will be back with the team. He's making his presence felt ever since his return. He scored a game-high 20 points against SMU and added 3 rebounds and 4 assists. Louisville will try to gain some momentum to round out the bottom half of the schedule, starting with the Fighting Irish. That game is tomorrow at 7 p.m. Well, we're also talking about the Winter Olympics, the opening ceremony just days away, and a new survey is looking into what the most popular sports are in each state. You probably have a favorite sport to watch. According to reviews.org, Kentucky and Indiana's favorite to watch is luge. The survey looked at search interest over the past year, and according to the survey, the most anticipated sport across the U.S. is snowboarding. The opening ceremony for the Olympics is this Friday, and whatever sport you want to watch, you can do that on Wave and NBC. I don't think I have much of a favorite because they're all so different and fascinating to me because I'm not super familiar with the winter sports. So excited to see just about everything that pops up. That's all the time we have here for Sunrise Extra. I hope you have a great Tuesday. We'll see you back here tomorrow.